Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning to those joining us from the West Coast, and welcome to today's event. My name is Josette Lowe. I'm the Professional Development Coordinator at CMC Canada, and I'll be your host for this session today. We've got an exciting lineup of speakers and topics to cover, all aimed at providing valuable insights into the opportunities available through CMC Canada. Here is a quick overview of what to expect. We'll start with a presentation on the mentorship program, followed by insights into the academic partnership program, member benefits, student council, certification, and more. We will also hear from some incredible speakers about how CMC Canada has impacted their careers and how you can get involved as a student. To wrap up, we will have a Q&A session where you can ask any questions you may have, but feel free to type your questions at any time during the webinar, and then we will address those during the Q&A. Let's dive right in and kick things off with Rodney Evely and Barseth Narayan, who will be presenting on the mentorship program. Rodney is a fellow certified management consultant, FCMC, and a technology executive with extensive expertise in artificial intelligence governance at the executive level. He specializes in Gen AI platforms, cloud-based data analytics, and strategic digital transformation architecture. Barshith is a student member, CMC Canada student member, who holds a master's in international business from Queen's University. He worked as a financial analyst and gained experience in public sector operations and financial analysis. With a strong foundation in organizational processes and financial management, he's now transitioning into IT consulting, focusing on helping organizations leverage technology for business growth. Rodney, Barshith, welcome, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd like to extend my sincerest of appreciation to the national team for inviting me here this afternoon, and happy to take you through a file that is very near and dear to my heart, and that's mentoring. We can get the PowerPoint deck up and running, and we'll take you through several charts that will illustrate some of the intrinsic benefits of mentoring. Started this program about 5 years ago as a result of the need to perform some cross-pollination across seniors to intermediates, also to junior level consultants, and I think that's one of the elements of CMC Canada that is a very attractable quality, is to be able to meet with more senior folks than yourselves, and to be able to dive into areas of expertise that you'd like to build upon. We also go through a mentoring contract as well, in which you detail out some of your hopeful of topics, and then you engage those topics with a certified management consultant, and you move forward from that perspective. So in terms of the PowerPoint deck, I'm just going to take you through some charts, and then I'm going to introduce you to Barseth Narayan. He's one of my mentees and a close colleague of mine for about a year now. But from a critical success factor, we can see here the multidimensional relationships, the exposure of students to associates to CMCs. Of course, you'll develop communication and more strategic level artifacts as you start to learn around personal skill development, and of course, business development as well. And of course, the standardization of the mentorship processes. And essentially, this is really what this chart is really saying, is that there is a real cross-pollination of information and dialect going between you and the CMC. Generally, CMCs have anywhere from 15 years of experience plus, and they can help you understand some of the more intrinsic areas around the business table, and of course around the technology table as well. So just moving on to the next chart. Our vision statement for mentoring. We recognized when we started mentoring, we needed to really have a vision statement. And of course, here it is: to be a reciprocal and collaborative relationship of benefit mentor and mentee growth, learning, and career development. So you come to a mentor as a mentee, and you list out 3 or 4 areas of growth that you'd like to develop, to build upon rather, and the CMC mentor will take you through those in a very systematic and formalized manner. It's been really, really successful to gain those exposures between mentor and mentee. And moving forward, introducing the concept. What is really management consulting? It is really a professional advisory independent service. A lot of the CMCs are independents, although some are full-time employees as well. And we assist managers, executives, and business owners achieve their organizational purposes and objectives. We solve, obviously, business and management level problems. We identify new opportunities, and we enhance learning and the implementation of those ideas and or artifacts. So we go into businesses, we go into Crown Corps, we go into the federal government, and we look at opportunities to seize and to expand upon, and to essentially ensure that we're growing those towards that perspective. Next chart. CMC Canada, so we are over 2,000 members. We're well over 1,100 CMCs. We specialize in a whole array of different topics and areas of concentration, such as organizational change, marketing, HR, IT, finance, the entire gamut from a business perspective that we try and focus on. We certainly have specializations as well, such as myself around AI and around digital transformation. Those are 2 topics that are very, very near to me, and I've focused on over several years of my career, several decades actually, to be honest. And of course, CMC Canada serves all verticals and all sectors: public, private, health, university, research, and of course, non-for-profit, as we have a very vibrant pro bono program within CMC Canada, of which I'm the lead of. We can move forward. So it is a real program approach to mentoring. We certainly ensure that we're gaining experienced mentors, and we really take the time to match those up with mentees so that we can have that, that synchronization between mentor and mentee. We certainly follow a structured methodology, such as the common body of knowledge from an industry best practice perspective. And for the mentee, we certainly provide a vast amount of knowledge and expertise so that we can help create that knowledge transfer between mentor and mentee. And of course, we certainly expand upon the knowledge and mission of CMC Canada vis-a-vis its goals and objectives as well. So moving forward, understanding the value. So what is the value between the mentor and the mentee? Well, it is really promoting a development type of culture. It is a broader external consulting context. It's the opportunity, to meet between mentor and mentee, increasing that knowledge sharing. And it's not only from mentor to a mentee can obviously conversely help a mentor as well. So there is certainly a two-way street between mentor and mentee. And of course, it's always good to expand your network and to get external connections as well. So moving forward, and the value proposition, a very important chart here from a mentee perspective. As I mentioned earlier, it's about facilitating development of skills, widening your network, obviously boosting your self-esteem and professional confidence, as you can help understand those items of weakness and build them into strengths. And the mentorship can enable a promotion on the part of the mentee as well, and just deepen your perspective from a pure management perspective. And as we can see in the next column there, you can see a whole array of different benefits, as I mentioned throughout the presentation here this afternoon. Moving forward. And of course, the relationship between the mentor and the mentee is key. Obviously, it'll increase performance. There's certainly a real strong value proposition. And of course, there is a mentoring protocol as well in terms of tracking the progress, aligning to times during which you can get together with your mentee, and always showing up for the mentor and the mentee, and of course, promoting mentoring events, including white papers. And of course, the CMC will be in tune in terms of a lot of the events that occur within CMC Canada so that they can share some of that knowledge with you as well. So it's a real tight relationship between mentor and mentee. Moving forward. Roles and responsibilities, very, very simple but pragmatic. Be prepared, please. We really like people that come with a structured view in terms of their wants and needs. Provide mentor with feedback so you can adjust the session content. And of course, if you need to reschedule, let's try and stay within that 3 to 5 days, because CMCs are busy orchestrating and planning through their own respective practices. Moving forward. That is essentially the presentation. It's been a pleasure to walk you through some of the mentoring aspects. We have it set up on monday.com. We're in the process of evaluating a new mentoring platform that Janine will be prime on. So we have a lot of exciting things going on in the mentoring space. And at this point, I'd like to pass it to my colleague and my mentor, Varshit Narayan.
First of all, thank you so much, CMC Canada, for having me. And yeah, I'm really excited to be here. So I'm quickly just going to talk to you about my mentorship experience with Rodney, and what I learned during the entire process, and what my key takeaways were. So to start things off, I do remember my very first conversation with Rodney was back in May of 2023. It was more or less of a discovery call where the both of us got to get together on a call to see if we would be a good fit or not. I basically tried to articulate where I stood in terms of my professional development and where I wanted to be. And From that particular conversation, Rodney was able to identify some key areas for growth and development, and that's how we kick things forward. And again, there's a lot of different kinds of mentors out there, so it's not necessary that if you don't see your very first mentor to be a good fit, that's the end of the line. You can go ahead and explore out there. So that's really good too. So just wanted I've got some notes here from our mentorship experience itself. So a few things that we discussed during our time, uh, they revolved a lot around the soft skills of consulting. And I do remember this conversation about active listening. So Rodney was trying to emphasize on the fact that active listening is a very important aspect of consulting, because when you go to your client, they're most likely trying to articulate their problems, but then they're most likely talking about the effects of these problems and not the problem itself. So as a consultant, it's important for you to read between the lines, ask the right questions, and also manage all the stakeholders well. And one way that you can do that is by building trust amongst your stakeholders. Um, and again, we talked a lot about how we can build trust. There were a few ideas that were thrown around and that were discussed between Rodney and I. It included things like feedback, validating concerns, and aligning yourself with the client's goal. And I do want to say that at that point of time, the mentorship that I was getting from Rodney was absolutely important to me, because I was engaged in two consulting projects at that point. I was working on my capstone project, which was a consulting project at my university, and the other was an internship that I was pursuing. And what I learned during my journey with Rodney was really, really helpful. And I was able to put it to good use while working. And also, there were a lot of different pieces of advice that Rodney gave me that has helped me in my professional growth and development. And one thing that I've realized is that consulting is not just about having the right answers, but it's about how you communicate them to the client. And this is something that I really appreciate from my mentorship, from the time I was being mentored by Rodney. And also, as Rodney mentioned, he's the head of the pro bono program. So I had access to this program as well for quite some time, and I was able to work on a couple of projects. And Rodney was very kind to make some introductions as well in the consulting world for me. So these were some really good opportunities for me to learn about consulting from real world leaders in this particular field.
And I think
And
also, just building upon that, Varshit, if I may interject, pardon me for interrupting you. One of the many things that I admire about Varshit is his ability to listen. And over the course of our mentor-mentee relationship, we really started to develop a friendship as well. And I remember distinctively him applying for some roles, and I was one of his references to those roles. And I could not be more proud of his accomplishment in terms of landing his first role in Canada, having been a master's graduate of Queen's University. So he is a shining example of what it is to be a mentee, and someone who I really look up to in terms of his ability to listen and to actively engage, and to be able to articulate in a formidable and acquiescence of manner. So Varshit, congratulations to you in terms of landing your first role in Canada, and I could not be happier to support you through your file and through your work.
Honestly, it wouldn't have been possible without you, Rodney. So really appreciate that. And I just really want to thank CMC Canada for coming up with such a brilliant program as well. And to all the students out there, I would definitely recommend that you go look it up and see how this can help you out in your professional endeavors as well.
Absolutely. So thank you for your time, everyone. And I'll pass it back to our host, Josette. So Josette, thank you.
Yeah, no, thank you, Rodney and Brasheth, for such a great overview of the mentorship program. That was amazing. Next up, we'll hear from Allison Watcher and Janine Krisanowski about the Academic Partnership Program and the value of the CMC Canada membership. Allison is the Director of Membership Development at CMC Canada. She is responsible for leading the strategic direction and execution of initiatives aimed at the recruitment and retention of members. She innovates and expands upon member programs and services, ensuring that the organization membership strategies are both forward-thinking and aligned with the overreaching goals of advancing the profession and enriching the member experience. Janine is the Member Relations Coordinator and MAS Program Administrator. She handles membership queries and the member application process. She coordinates member profiles and facilitates communications between prospective members and CI councils. Allison, Janine, welcome, and take it away.
Thanks, Josette. I'll just wait till you can get to the academic partner page with all there we go. Fantastic. Thank you. Well, good afternoon and welcome everyone. I'm very excited to have you all here today and to share with you a unique opportunity through our CMC Canada's Academic Partner Program and how it can support your journey in management consulting. So on the screen here, you can find our current academic partners. We have the University of Fredericton, University of Saskatchewan, Edward School of Business, St. Mary's University, University of Ottawa, the Telfer School of Business, University of Waterloo, Royal Roads University, the University of Regina, University of Alberta, and our newest is the College of Northern Canada. The Academic Partner Program is designed to integrate the CMC designation requirements directly into university and college programs. For students at participating institutions, this creates a streamlined pathway to earning the globally recognized CMC credential, a major advantage for those looking to stand out in the consulting profession. For those at academic partner institutions, your pathway to the CMC designation is already integrated into your program, making it even easier to graduate with both your degree and a significant progress towards Canada's gold standard for management consulting. So to learn more about your school's equivalent programs, you can visit our website, or we do have the QR code at the bottom of the screen here that will take you to the page where you can just select your institution to explore your path to the CMC certification. Also, a colleague of mine, Marcia, will be coming on very shortly, who will also get into a little bit about this as well. And if you're not an academic partner school, if you don't attend one of these schools, that's not a problem. Regardless of where you study, CMC Canada membership is your first step to building a successful career in management consulting. So thank you to everyone joining us today. If you have any questions about how to take advantage of these opportunities or start your journey toward the CMC designation, feel free to reach out by email. You can send me an email at membership@cmc-canada.ca, or there's obviously further information on our website. And now I will pass it on to my colleague Janine to talk a little bit about the benefits of membership at CMC Canada.
And thank you, Allison. All right, I'll just wait till you switch to the next slide. Okay, so as a student member, you get access to all of our member benefits that our associate and certified members do get, including discounts on training and events. So you get access to all of our member prices on all of our courses, as well as access to all of our free networking events. We have complimentary subscriptions and resources, so we have access to templates for presentations, as well as Good Life and Bell, Mobility, and insurance partners. I mentioned the networking and community. So our community is very involved and very eager to connect with the next generation of management consultants. So it's always a good place to attend our events and even just cold call, reach out to any of our members, and they'd be happy to answer any questions. They're all very open to communicating. So for career development, Rodney and Varshith have mentioned their experience with the mentorship program, and Rodney touched on the exciting changes that will be coming this year for our mentorship program. Another part of our career development is we do offer task forces, which are project-based groups that produce resources. So that gives you an opportunity to work with consultants at varying stages of their careers and learn from them in a hands-on manner. I will just mention the certification pathway because Marcia will go into that shortly. And professional credibility. So the CMC designation, so once you get the certification, a lot of the large firms are partners with us and do either require the certification for the management consulting departments or will put you through it themselves. As well as if you are interested in bidding on government contracts or working in the public sector, the government does recognize the designation and in some cases require it as a part of employment as a consultant. As well, the CMC designation does open the door for the TN visa, which will allow you to work in the States and Mexico as a consultant and travel freely across the border. So that is very exciting, all those benefits that you get access to either low cost or free through your academic partner. And then I think we're passing it on to Varshith for the student council now.
Yeah, thank you very much, Allison and Janine. That was very insightful. Thank you. Now let's hear from Varshith again, who will be talking about student council and the opportunities it provides to students. Varshith, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Josette. So while I was studying at Queen's, I kind of came up with this idea for CMC Canada that we should have a student council so that we can get the consulting profession out there in front of the students, and they can use this to their advantage from the get-go. And as such, I came up with a vision for the student council itself, which is basically to empower students across Canada to become ethical and skilled consultants by developing consulting expertise, strategic problem solving abilities, and a strong foundation in professional ethics. So now you might be wondering what this looks like. So the structure is going to have two levels to it. So the first one is going to be the student chapters, and this is going to be across all universities. So you can kind of consider this to be a club equivalent at your university, where there's going to be multiple different programs and events that's going to that will be held. And and a step above this is going to be the national board, where there's going to be student representatives from different institutions or these universities itself. So now coming down to the roles and responsibilities, there's going to be student members who are going to act as a bridge between CMC Canada and their respective universities. So this is going to be on the national board. And then you're going to have student representatives on the student chapters who are going to promote awareness, organize local events, and engage students. So now the national leadership team, which also has the student members, are going to oversee strategic initiatives, coordinate with the university chapters, and drive national programs. And they're going to be in constant touch with CMC Canada leadership as well, so that there's an alignment in terms of the vision. So now, what does this mean for you as students? So these are a few things that you can expect. The first one would be workshop and trainings. So there's going to be offline and online workshop that emphasize decision making, business analysis, leadership skills, and ethics. And there's going to be some kind of hands-on learning experiences that will be tailored to the consulting profession. As we all know, these can be in the form of case studies and also case competitions. Moving on, there's going to be industry insight reports. So as a consultant, you have to be on your toes. You need to know about the kind of industry that you're working with, and also the different nuances. So this can kind of be like a forum or a monthly review where there are periodic reports on key industry trends, challenges, and opportunities. So this will help students stay informed and also help them in their strategic decision making with whatever projects that they're engaged in. Also, as I'd mentioned earlier while I was working with Rodney in the student mentorship, while I was being mentored by Rodney, I also had the opportunity to work on the pro bono program of CMC Canada. Now, while this is still in an ideation phase, I think we as students can do a lot more by engaging the local community and also address sustainable development goals that have been given by the UN and also other important initiatives. Now, these projects or initiatives need not be money-making instruments in specific. They can just have a pro bono aspect to it, so that you can make some real-world impact and also gain some real-world experience at the same time. And lastly, there would be networking events as well. So this would be an amazing platform to meet students like yourself across the different universities in Canada. And also, this can also be a bridge between you as students and CMCs like Rodney, where you can have opportunities like spend a day at the office so that you can gain first-hand experience in real consulting environments. So yeah, that was what I had in mind for the Student Council initiative.
All right, thank you very much, Pratis, for sharing that with us. Definitely a great opportunity for students to be engaged and contribute to the not only their communities' goals and objectives, but also to their careers. Thank you very much. Now let's move on to Marcia Bison, who will give us an overview of the CMC certification stream and pathways. Marcia is the manager of certification at CMC Canada. She guides and supports members throughout their certification process while coordinating with CIs to ensure all candidates meet the CMC certification requirements. Marcia, over to you.
Great. Thank you, Josette. And hello to everybody. As Josette has mentioned, I am the certification manager here at CMC Canada. And I'm just going to provide a brief overview of how someone would start the process of becoming designated and what those steps might look like for you. So the first is how does someone begin? So the first step process would be becoming a member. If you're not a member, we would ask that you do sign up as a member, and at which time you can then submit your resume directly to my attention. I would then submit your resume to the Certifying Institute for them to review and then choose a stream that best fits based on your education and experience. Once a stream has determined, I will then reach back out to you and provide all of the steps that will be required for you to move through the process. So moving on to certification streams. Now, I suspect that the majority of the audience today will fall under the MBA or entry stream, but I will speak about the other streams, just in case there's anyone online that may fit better into those other streams. So if we focus on the experience column, so the first, what we'd be looking for an MBA stream candidate would be someone who has graduated from an approved accredited program and that has less than 8 years of experience. Entry stream, anyone who's actively consulting with less than 8 years of experience again. Experience stream, anyone who's actively consulting for the immediate last year and has at least 8 years of consulting experience. And finally, our executive stream, we actually have 2 sets of criteria for this particular stream. Executive 1, again, actively consulting for the immediate past year, minimum 3 years of consulting and 15 years in an executive experience role. And then finally, executive 2, anyone who's actively consulting for the immediate past year and has 10 years executive experience leading a consulting firm. If we focus on the education column, we would be looking from anybody who has been streamed MBA, we would official transcripts to show that they do have that university degree from the accredited program, whereby the entry and experience stream, we'd be looking for a university degree, approved professional designation. If someone does not have a degree or professional designation, we can then look at their other education and experience to see if we can find a degree equivalency. So moving on to certification requirements, this is where we identify all of the steps within the process based on which stream is chosen for you. So we'll start with CMC sponsors. So as you can see, all streams require sponsors, with the exception of any candidates from Ontario. Ontario, a couple of years back, removed the mandatory requirement for sponsors. The coursework phase, as you can see, the majority of work falls under the MBA and entry stream, whereby the experience and executive streams, the only mandatory requirement would be the ethical behavior and best practices. And then the final phase, which candidates cannot complete until they have attained at least 3 years of consulting experience. Where there's actually 3 steps, but looking at MBA and entry and experience, they have all 3 that they need to complete, whereas the executive stream only has 2. So the engagement summaries, we would ask that MBA and entry stream candidates submit 3 and experience stream that they submit 5. Client references, all candidates must submit client references regardless of what stream. What does differ is the amount of client contacts that they provide. And then finally, the final step in the process would be the oral assessment, which is where you would meet with 2 CMC assessors. So moving on to the final steps. So once the oral assessment has been completed, the assessors will then provide their evaluations back to the national office, and you can expect that we would receive them back within 1 or 2 days. And then once those have been received, we then submit the candidate file back to the Certifying Institute for final review. On average, a decision is made by the Institute within 5 to 10 business days. And then once a decision has been made, it's either myself or the Institute that communicates the decision. So one of my last slides here. So lastly, I would just highlight our upcoming foundations program, which is open to eligible candidates in both the MBA and entry stream. This program features our Essentials of Management Consulting and Ethical Behavior course, a competency review and Q&A session, an optional project management course, and then the oral assessment. For those who wish to participate in the optional project management course, the program would begin on April 8th, with a deadline to register all other components on April 22nd. What's also mentioned is the fee, which includes the cost with and without the project management course. If you have any questions that you'd like to ask, please feel free to reach out to me directly about that program. So just as a final thought, candidate is unique in their educational background and experience. So I would strongly recommend that if you do have questions about what your journey might look like, please feel free to reach out. I'm happy to have a conversation. And yeah, maybe give a little bit more clarity on what you could expect. So with that, I will pass it back to Josette.
Thank you, Marcia, for breaking that down so clearly. Definitely, that's a conversation, a one-on-one conversation, as every participant, every member, it's a different world. So thank you for that, Marcia. And yeah, let's move on to our final speaker, our last speaker of the day, Michael Beauchamp, who will share his journey in consulting and how CMC Canada has shaped his career. Michael is a CMC and a senior consultant in KPMG's operation advisory practice, bringing over 5 years of direct experience to his role. He possesses a strong background in project management, stakeholder management, and process design, enable him to drive operational excellence and deliver exceptional client support. Michael, welcome, and over to you.
Thanks, Josette. Hi, everyone. Pleasure to be here today. Like Josette said, my name is Michael Beauchamp. I'm a senior consultant in Ottawa on the operations public sector team. I work predominantly with federal and provincial government clients here in Ottawa. So I'm going to start with providing a little journey, how I arrived at this point, and some background on my experience. So I completed a Bachelor in Social Sciences at the University of Ottawa in International Development and Globalization, where most of my courses were in economics, international relations, and politics. From there, I went to the University of Queens and completed a Master of Urban and Regional Planning, specializing in real estate and land use planning. I got a good taste for real estate finance and investment for development projects and recapitalization projects. From there, I took that experience and worked at Public Services and Procurement Canada in the government for 3 years. I was in the real property services branch, working in the portfolio management group for 3 years, predominantly working on budget forecasting for Crown-owned assets. That would be familiar to a lot of you, like the Supreme Court building and D&D headquarters here in Ottawa. My background in urban planning was a good overlay for a lot of the projects I was on, where planning considerations were central to decision making. A few years into my career, I heard from a friend about management consulting and was looking for a change in subject matter and was curious. And I started exploring that interest. I saw a job posting at KPMG. I went through the rigorous rounds of interviews and case studies and have been working here at KPMG in the operations team for the last 3 years, come this May. So what is my day-to-day like as a management consultant? And here in this section, I'm just going to go over some high level day in the life expectations in management consulting at a Big Four firm. So starting with the most obvious, engagement work, client engagement works probably takes the lion's share of your time. Billable hours are important. So I predominantly work on IT strategy transformations, everything from requirements gathering and the procurement to implementation and closeout, often around enterprise resource planning tools and systems. Business development is another core thing that you'd be doing in a consulting job, whether you're in a big firm or a small boutique. Often you'll work with bid teams to respond to RFPs tendered. It's a great skill to develop as a consultant, especially in your early years, as it's a labor-intensive process, but it requires a strong understanding of the procurement process and will help you become familiarized with your service offerings and the business itself. Very good skill to develop early on, and it's desirable amongst a lot of the larger firms. Obviously, there's some ad hoc tasks as well. So one that you might be asked to do is to help with events or fundraisers. A lot of firms are involved with things outside in the community. An example of an internal ad hoc task that I've taken on in the last year was I organize advisory town halls for the Ottawa office, and I MC these events. So these are organized once a month to review firm updates, share knowledge, and get to know people in the advisory practice better. There's also things like training development. We have lunch and learns in the Ottawa office for people to learn a variety of things from cybersecurity 101 to federal government procurement. So there's lots of opportunities to get involved in various ways in management consulting practices. So some core skills to develop as a consultant. I'll just go over some high level ones. So having a good understanding of project management and change management are good skills to develop. And as you'll see with the CMC core competencies and body of knowledge, that this is a great resource to leverage to get a good understanding of the consulting landscape and what to be familiar with. People with good data and communication skills, understanding of risk management. I'm partial to the projects I work on, but also an understanding of IT systems is valuable. Although you learn a lot of this on the job, as such a specialized set of knowledge is often best acquired through just working. Audits and internal controls, and an understanding of how businesses function from a governance and risk perspective. Cybersecurity is also very relevant and current. So if you have any ability to learn about that, that's also very powerful. My CMC journey. So how did I become involved with the CMC as an organization? So I became a member in November 2023 and have been involved in various capacities with this great organization since. I sit on the Ontario Council. In the last few months, we've been working on strategic goals for the Ontario chapter, and there's tons of great events and other initiatives that you'll have the opportunity to get involved with. If you're in the Ottawa area, you may have seen me at some of the U Ottawa events. I've attended a couple student events in the last few months. So if you're around, feel free to connect. So benefits of CMC, I'll just speak at a high level from my personal perspective. One of the largest ones is integrity and credibility that the organization brings and your affiliation with the organization. So being a CMC is demonstrative of a level of understanding of the MC profession and core competencies. It also says you adhere to a code of conduct and adhere to a set of ethics that is of value in monetary value in an industry that has been in the news for unethical behavior for so long. I think there's a real value in having people who are adhering to a set of standards, and especially in light of what's happened with various large firms across various industries in the last few years. From a public sector perspective, it makes you more desirable to employers as well. So there's a very practical application for younger people to strive for this designation, as it's a recognized designation that can award your team points on RFPs. So there's some practical points. I'll shift now to the people benefits of CMC, which I think is probably one of the strongest benefits of joining. It's a great place, as Rodney has mentioned earlier, for mentorship and networking. It's great for meeting people at your stage or well advanced at your stage, and being able to draw from people with years and decades of more experience than yourself. It's great to get feelers on where you want to go, what you have to do to get there, all those sort of thing. I've met so many great people through CMC at CMC events and through the Ontario Council. So if you are a member or want to be a member, highly suggest getting involved in those groups. And it's also a great place to find people who are like-minded to discuss anything around the industry or regarding to your career progression, or to just seek advice. So I'll pause here and I'll hand it back to Josette. There's a Q&A at the end of the session, so we can field any questions you may have then. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael, for sharing your journey with us. It's always great to hear firsthand how CMC Canada supports professionals in their careers. And as you mentioned, we will now open the floor for questions. If you have any questions, please type it into the Q&A section that has been made available to all of you. I'll keep an eye on the questions and direct them to the appropriate speaker. For now, I will read the questions brought up during the presentation. So, but before I do that, I'll bring everyone on camera right now. Okay. All right. All right, perfect. I have everyone on camera. We do have a few questions that came in during the presentation, so I'll read the first question. Do I need to be a CMC to be eligible for the member benefits? So maybe Allison or Janine might want to take a crack at this one.
Yeah, for sure. You do need to be a member to take advantage of the membership benefits. For students, if you're part of the academic partner program, which was that slide of the universities and colleges that I showed, you're eligible for free membership. And if you are not on part of the academic partner program, student membership is $25 a year. So it's pretty affordable, and you have full advantage of all the benefits that were mentioned on this presentation today once you are a member.
I just want to highlight though, except for the TN visa, you do need to be certified for that. And also for liability insurance, you are eligible for a discount on your insurance through our BMS partner. But the discount is greater once you get your certification.
All right, thank you. Could you share any best practices for building strong, long-lasting relationships with clients in the consulting industry? So maybe Michael, would you take a crack at this one?
Yeah, of course. So on client engagements, you're spending a lot of time with the clients. You'll probably have a lot of face time, and I'd say just getting to know them as people instead of just focusing on the business that you're conducting. Obviously, the business you're conducting is the reason you're there. So I'm not saying chat the whole meeting, but take time to take interest in the people themselves, and you'll find they'll likely take interest in you back. And after you start developing a relationship with a client through engagement work, it's always good to keep in touch, go for coffees. Don't be shy to reach out to people in the industry or in prospective workplaces and just ask to grab a coffee. You'd be surprised how far that goes to just sit down with someone and better understand where they're coming from, how they got there. And you never know, you might learn something very important that could help guide your career forward, or at the very least, you've made a good connection. And those connections are really invaluable in our industry. It's an industry of trust and of relationships. And with that in mind, you really can't do too little to build that. So treat that like building relationships as a ongoing skill and something that you put effort towards. every week.
Thank you, Michael. I think this next question is also into our membership team. How much is the student membership, and would this cost change after I graduate?
Yes, so as I mentioned, it's free for academic partners and then $25 for students that are not part of the academic partner program. And this would go for both student members, part of the academic program, and if you're not, once you're a student member, once you graduate, the first year for associate membership, we offer a promotion of 50% off. And then your second year for associate membership, a 25% off. And that's just to help with that transition from going from student into your professional career. So again, it's free for academic partners, students, and then $25 for student membership. And then once you graduate, there is a 50% off your first year of associate membership and 25% off your second year of associate membership.
Thanks, Allison. We also have one more question to go through from during the presentations. How do you foresee the consulting landscape evolving in the near future? So maybe Michael or Bashif wanna
Yeah, sure.
yeah, Michael.
Well, I'll say this, nothing's ever for certain, so there's always a lot of uncertainty across various industries. What I can say is there's a high demand for a lot of institutions and organizations to leverage consulting services, especially with respect to IT platforms that are legacy platforms that are reaching end of life, and that naturally brings about a lot of work for consultants. I think there's a lot of value in consulting for a variety of things like costing and market scans and a lot of things that companies would like to outsource. In terms of the future, I'd say the largest thing that's on everyone's mind and applies really to any industry is the impact of AI. And I can say from a personal perspective that I've already seen the impact of AI on my work. So we're implementing a lot of automated tools with our clients that leverage AI, and we also use AI internally. Now we have that you got to take that with a grain of salt. When you join a firm and you have ChatGPT at your hands, that's a very powerful tool to have, but it's not to be abused. So at KPMG, we have a proprietary AI tool that we can use for work. And it helps with a lot of things, from summary to drafting emails. It'll get you 60% of the way there. It's not replacing your work. You still have to do the heavy lifting and have those analysis skills and be able to communicate effectively and be able to put together meaningful materials for the client. But it is a tool that's beginning to be leveraged by everyone, and it's like the calculator. When that came around, people were stopped doing long division. No, but that doesn't replace the need to have those basic skills in math to understand what the equations you're conducting. So I'd say the same logic can be applied for AI. It's a tool to be used in appropriate circumstances, and it's something that can help to enhance your work and productivity, but it's also something that you have to learn how to use properly and know when to use it. So ethics come into play, and also your general skills. So I see that as probably the largest trend that's come into the marketplace, and something that's definitely going to continue momentum in the coming years as AI advances.
All right. Thank you, Michael. And I think we have one more question for today. And maybe Marcia, you can take a crack at this one. What is the average time it takes for registering as a member to actually becoming a CMC?
So that is a great question, but a tricky one as well, because it is based off of which stream a candidate is selected into. So if we go off of the data that we have on candidates that have moved through the process and have completed and become CMCs, the average for MBA and entry stream would be 2 to 2.5 years. Experienced and executive stream candidates, on average, it's anywhere between 6 months to, I would say, 8 or 9 months. That's not to say that you can't go more quickly. We have had an entry stream candidate who actually received her CMC within 6 months. So much quicker than what the average is. So really it's based on stream and then how engaged a candidate is on how in completing the steps that need to be done.
All right. Thank you, Marcia. And I don't think we have any more questions in the Q&A, so I think we can wrap up the session for today. Thank you all for joining us, and a big thank you to all of you. Such an incredible line of speakers: Rodney, Barshev, Michael, Janine, Allison, and Marcia. Thank you so much for sharing your time and expertise with our members. I hope you found today's event valuable and that you are inspired to explore the many opportunities CMC Canada has to offer. If you have any follow-up questions or need more information, feel free to reach out to us. You can either email us at events@cmc-canada.ca or to membership@cmccanada.ca. So again, we will follow up very soon with an email to all of you with relevant information and links, as well as the recording of today's session, which, by the way, will be in our YouTube channel. Thank you again, and have a great day. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.